Hi everybody, it's me making another video, and today is what I told you I was going to bring you, which is my WrestleMania Series number 5. This time it's going to be the best Intercontinental title matches, which is the best Intercontinental title matches in my opinion that were probably the best at WrestleMania. So let's get started with this video because I got an important announcement, or I got something important to tell you right after that if I get to it. At number 8, the match I got on this list, the match at the top that I got on this list is Chris Jericho versus William Regal. Very underrated matchup at WrestleMania 17. This was a good matchup. You had Chris Jericho doing his usual moves, and you had some William Regal doing his moves, and you had some technical points in this matchup, and then you had brawling in this matchup, and then overall this was just a fun, underrated matchup that most people really don't talk about at WrestleMania 17 because they either talk about The Undertaker versus Triple H, or they talk about The Rock versus Austin, or they talk about Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle. But in my opinion, this match should be up there because this was a pretty good Intercontinental title match for what it was. The next match I got on this list is Jeff Jarrett versus Razor Ramon, WrestleMania 11. The build up to this match was pretty good, with Razor Ramon wanting to get his revenge for Jeff Jarrett beating him at the Royal Rumble 1995. These two went out there, put on a damn good matchup. Really good brawling in this matchup. And then you had the appearance of the 1-2-3 Kid who makes a save for Razor Ramon after Razor Ramon gets beat down after Rhodey interferes and costs Razor Ramon his chance of regaining the belt back. But overall, this was just a very good matchup, very good underrated matchup, and these two worked really hard, and probably my favorite matchup at WrestleMania 11, and probably one of the best matches at WrestleMania 11. The other one being Shawn Michaels and Diesel, and then of course Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow. But you can add this match on there because this was a really good matchup, and these two really put their working boots on in this matchup. The next match I got on here is Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka. Very good, underrated matchup at WrestleMania 9. This was your opening matchup. This was good. You had Tatanka, who was undefeated at this point, and he was just taking it to Shawn Michaels. He was just basically putting some good moves on Shawn Michaels, and then you had the story with Sherry coming out, and you didn't know which corner she was going to be on, but in the end you found out that she was kind of helping Tatanka, and then you had Luna Vachon come in there. But overall, this was a very good matchup. Shawn Michaels brought his A game, and Tatanka even showed up in this matchup, and overall this was just a very good matchup, and that's why I got it on here. And this was one of those matches that made you think Tatanka was actually going to beat Shawn Michaels, but really everyone knew that Shawn Michaels wasn't going to lose the belt to Tatanka. But in a way, I didn't like the DQ, but in a way it protected both men. It didn't make Shawn Michaels look weak, and it protected Tatanka, made Tatanka look good, as he was undefeated, and the WWE didn't want to have Tatanka lose his match, so they just went with the DQ. And overall, this was a very good matchup. The next match I got on here is Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. This was the Intercontinental title and the WWF title on the line. I already talked about this in my best WWE title matches. This was a good matchup, and let's just leave it at that. At the next match on this list, I got Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. What can you say that most people haven't already said? This was a very technical matchup. You had Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat coming out there and busting their ass and just giving one hell of a matchup that pretty much stole the whole show from WrestleMania 3. You had the dramatic moments in this matchup. You had George the Animal Steel come out and cost Randy Savage the matchup when he distracted Randy Savage which led to Randy Savage getting rolled up by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat after he tried to go for a suplex on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and he reversed it into a roll-up. But overall, this was a good matchup and probably one of the best IC title matches I ever seen. And I'm glad I watched this matchup, and this match has pretty much held over time because this match has stood still over time because this match just never gets old no matter how many times you see it. It's probably one of the best Intercontinental title matches I ever seen, and that's why I got it on this list. Next match I got on here is Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart. Very good matchup. These two had a really funny interview segment before the matchup with Piper talking about he used to take care of Bret Hart and this and that, and then it led to the two getting into a confrontation and Bret saying he wants his IC title. They went on to have a good matchup in front of the crowd in the Hoosier Dome at WrestleMania 8. This was a good matchup, a lot of brawling, a lot of technical points in this matchup. You had a point in the matchup where Bret Hart was busted open. Then you had a point where you thought Roddy Piper was gonna hit Bret Hart with the ring bell, but he didn't. Which pretty much you thought Piper was gonna turn heel, but he didn't. Then they just had a couple brawls again, and then they did a couple moves, and then probably one of the best spots in this matchup where Piper put on the sleeper on Bret Hart, and then Bret Hart went into the ropes. He climbed on top of the ropes, and he reversed it into a pin, which you would see at Survivor Series with Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then he won the match, and then they embraced each other. But overall, this was a very good matchup, and probably one of my favorite Intercontinental title matches. The next match I got on here is Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. This was probably one of the best ladder matches I ever seen, and pretty much set the tone for most ladder matches in the WWE. I mean, you had Shawn Michaels, who was Shawn Michaels. He was Mr. WrestleMania, Mr. 4 or 5 stars. You could have a good match with just about anybody. You had Razor Ramon, who just came off of winning the Intercontinental title, and then you had, of course, Shawn Michaels, who was proclaiming he was the IC champion even though he was suspended, but he came back, and you had this good storyline headed into WrestleMania 10 where the two would fight to see who would be the undisputed Intercontinental title champion. Very good matchup. You had some good moments in this matchup. Shawn Michaels using the ladder a lot in this matchup, and then of course Razor Ramon doing his thing in this matchup. And overall, this was just a very good matchup, and many people say that this was the match that Shawn Michaels was basically wrestling WrestleMania 10 with just a ladder by himself, but you can add Razor Ramon into this match because he put some work into this matchup too. It wasn't just Shawn Michaels on a ladder, it was both. It was 3 things: Shawn Michaels, the ladder, and Razor Ramon. That's enough said about that. We then go to the final matchup I have on here, which is Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho versus Chris Benoit, Euro Intercontinental title matchup at WrestleMania 2000. Very good matchup. The build-up to this matchup was good. You had 2 guys who were feuding with each other, and then you had Kurt Angle, who at this point I believe was undefeated still, and he was the European or the Intercontinental champion, not sure, but he won one of those belts, and I believe he lost both of the belts without ever being pinned, as Chris Benoit won the Intercontinental title and then Chris Jericho won the European title. But overall, very good triple threat match, good technical matchup as well as brawling, and then just a fun matchup where everybody hit their spots and they pretty much put a lot on the line in this matchup and worked hard in this matchup. Overall, very good matchup, and I love this matchup. Anyhow, that's giving you my WrestleMania Series number 5. Hope you like my video, which is my Intercontinental title matches at WrestleMania 5. WrestleMania. My favorite Intercontinental title matches. Hope you like my video. You can rate, you can comment, and the special announcement that I got is for people there's 2 weeks still for if you want me to do a video on whatever's bothering you. I got 2 weeks on that left, so if you want me to do a video on something, feel free to send it to me in my inbox. And then another video that I'm coming up with is my Wrestling Gems, which is going to be talking about the forgotten things in wrestling, and like the WCW TV title, the US title, and then matches that most people forget or they don't talk about. Anyhow, this is my video. I'm out. Peace.